Alyssa. I'm so happy to have you here, and I can't wait to hear your story. So, tell me, you are a mom, how many kids you have, and tell me a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so I'm a mom to three beautiful kids. Right now we're in the thick of it with our 4.5-year-old, 2.5-year-old, and 5 months. And I'm at home with them most of the day, and then I also work part time at Starbucks. So,
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Okay, and tell me what type of car do you have right now?
Yeah, so currently we have a 2011 Chevy Eco Cruise. It's a manual. And then a 2004 Honda Pilot, a 2008 Honda Pilot. And then my husband has a 1991 Jeep Wrangler, but that's his project car. So I don't mess with that. So,
That's awesome. Have you ever felt like discouraged on cars before in the past? Like something happened to you in the car, being stranded or something like that?
yes, absolutely. I think, and that was actually the discouragement was kind of part of my motivation for um, starting to pursue an education with cars. Back in March of 2016, we had our first major hiccup with a car. It was our 2011 Chevy Cruise. We had just gotten back from a trip in Virginia for a friend's wedding, and it was leaking oil. It was smelling really bad. And so we ended up taking it to the dealership, one of the dealerships here in town, because the powertrain warranty was still in effect. Um, and they basically told us the worst case scenario: you need your engine replaced. And at the time, I was really frustrated because I didn't understand, well, what led to the engine needing replaced. I didn't know really anything about cars. And so I started researching the problem online, and that was my first major discouragement. Is I was like, wow, like why? They actually ended up working on it for a month on and off, trying to troubleshoot. Is it the head gasket? Is it this? Is it that? And they finally replaced the engine. So I was like, what? Why is it so hard to find the issue? What is the issue? So that was my first major discouragement, is just not understanding, you know, being able to understand what's going on. So,
Yeah.
mhm.
And when you take your car to the mechanic, or maybe in another time, have you ever felt like discouraged taking your car to the mechanic just because, like you said, I didn't know anything about cars? So have you ever felt
Mhm.
like discouraged in the repair shop because you didn't know much about cars when they were telling you the problem?
Yeah, yeah, just wishing that they would explain it more. And I know not everyone, I know teaching isn't everybody's strength, but just wishing that there was someone there that could break down the problem better. And, whether it's they didn't feel like they had the time, or they didn't want to, or even because, I'm a woman, and maybe they just assume, well, you're not interested, or, you wouldn't understand. I just wish that, it would have been explained to me
Of
depth.
course.
So,
Okay,
mhm.
I see. And so tell me, that's when you say you start doing a research, and that's when your interests start coming up about cars. How was that journey of you just learning more about cars, and how you decide to start doing that?
Yeah. So I started researching on my own. My background is in biology, so I am used to researching, and kind of almost a formal way of researching. And this was informal. It felt informal. I was reading through different blogs, mechanics blogs, YouTube, watching YouTube, reading through YouTube comments. Um, Joining a couple different Facebook groups with mechanics of varying abilities, and just learning as I went. And uh, we also have a good family friend of ours, who is a mechanic on the side, and I started asking him questions like, yeah, what about this and what about this. We'd be over at their house, and he started telling me stuff, and he was really great. and explaining things. And then my husband started encountering some health problems, and so he was really exhausted, and he would just go to work and come home and sleep. And we were, just having things that needed maintenance on the cars or replaced oil changes, whatnot. And I didn't really want to spend the money on it when I was like, maybe I can learn this myself. So yeah, through those different avenues I just mentioned, I started learning more about cars and how to work on them, and found myself actually enjoying it, even though it wasn't biology. I told myself it's just a different type of science. It's physics. So physics and yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love you to hear that story because that one of the things that I always mention is coming from clueless to confident, from clueless
Hmm.
of no seeing the transformation. And I love that you see that you see the problem, and because the circumstances where you are, where you were, you decide and said, you know what, I'm going to learn more about cars, and you notice that you're capable of doing it.
Hmm.
Because a lot of times
Hmm.
we think, oh no, you know what, this is a man thing, I don't think I'm able to do it. But once you start learning, you notice that it's easier and easier work on cars. And now I remember you told me that actually you even help your friends with their cars as
Hmm.
well, right?
Yes, yeah, I just am taking every opportunity I can. As long as I think, yeah, I think I can do this. There are some exceptions where maybe it might be easier to have a lift, which fortunately enough, in our city, we have a DIY garage where you can rent a bay, you can rent tools.
Really? That's
Yep, you can
cool.
rent. Yep, you can rent a bay with or without a lift. So obviously it's a little more expensive with a lift. But just taking that opportunity to, work on friends' cars, and maybe they have an issue going on that, we didn't have with our car. I replaced a bearing on one of my friends' cars a couple weeks ago. And none of our cars have needed a bearing replaced. So since I started learning, so just teaching myself that way. And then in the process, I can teach my friends, about their cars as well. It's not scary. This is how you do an oil change. It's not that scary once you know, oh, okay, you drain the oil out and unplug, change a filter, maybe check your fluids while you're at it. And it just takes the mystery out of it.
Yeah.
So,
That's
mhm,
incredible. That's incredible. I love that you actually took the courage of doing this. And now, what I love about you is that you're sharing that knowledge. I mean, you learn
mhm,
it, you see that it's simple, and now you're sharing that knowledge with your friends and people who actually want to learn about it. And I imagine that now your kids are watching you. So I'm
yes.
pretty sure that once your kids grow up, those kids will know about cars as well, and they're never gonna
Hmm.
have a situation like that. What are your thoughts about teaching your kids this life skill?
Yeah, I think it's incredibly important. I went to a 4-year college. I was lucky enough to do that. But my husband went to trade school, and I wasn't as familiar with that. And just watching how he's been able to advance his career in trades has really opened my eyes to that sort of work. Um, and so between him always fixing things, it's like, oh, dad can fix anything. And then, they're starting to see their mom work on cars. I think it's just going to kind of remove that obstacle again of like, oh, like I can't learn this, or like, oh, I'm not sure. And my husband always asks the question, what's the worst thing that can happen? Um,
I love
and
that.
and usually, it's like, okay, you think of the worst scenario. I'm like, okay, um and usually it's not actually that drastic. The worst thing that happens is you fail, but you still learn something from
Exactly.
that failure. And it's getting past the fear of failing, which is hard. But once you can overcome that, you can overcome a lot of other things too, not just with car repair. So I'm really hoping. We have two boys and a girl. So yeah, they all I my hope for them is that they know how to do the basics on cars, and then if they want to pursue that more, definitely we'll teach them.
I love that. That's a life lesson right there. I mean, I love that you said, I mean, a lot of things, the fear of doing
Mhm.
something new, it stops us from doing a lot of things. And this is not
Mhm.
just talking about cars and specifically, but in life. Sometimes because we think that, no, that's so scary, or maybe what if I fail? What if there's something bad happen? And that stops us from doing a lot of things. But like you said, what is the word thing that actually can happen? And if you just go for it and pursuing that specific thing, and you notice, what, I just did it, that's amazing, and you were like feel more encouraged. I mean, I can't imagine how confident now you feel with cars, and you're like,
Yeah.
I can do this. I mean, tell me about how confident and how make you feel as a female saying, wow, I did this. How is your feeling right now after that?
It feels great. And I know I'm nowhere near, I have so much to learn. And I definitely have made mistakes. But again, nobody died. So, um, and the good thing about learning on your own cars is you can make mistakes to your own cars first before other people's. Um, so yeah, it's just helped me feel a lot more confident. And then I like to travel, so if I'm doing a road trip or something like that and something goes wrong with the car, and that has happened most recently last summer. The water pump went out on our car, and I was with my husband when that happened, but knowing that I can better handle those situations is comforting.
Yeah, definitely. So what advice you could give to our community right now? You know that we have the ladies car care community, and you are
Mhm.
part of that amazing community, and I just thank you for being there, because I know
Yeah.
how value information you are bringing to these people. And what advice you could give to our listeners that say, you know what, I did this, and I mean, just tell me what advice you can give.
Yeah, I would say starting out, nothing is too small. Don't downplay just like, oh, well, it's just an oil change, or it's just, I just learned how to add windshield wiper fluid to my car. That's not a big deal. You start out really small, and you build and you work your way up, and one day you're going to be pulling an engine. So just start small and don't discount those small steps, because those small steps are important. So,
That's
mhm.
great. Yeah, definitely. I love that what you said. I mean, sometimes when we learn something, we just want to start big since the
Mhm.
beginning. And we have to celebrate every little win. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes when we have the shop, and when I ask my customers, hey, you know what, how much do you know about your car? Do you know to check the fluids? Because that's the first thing that I always start teaching. And their answer is like, oh, I don't even know how to open the hood. And
Mhm.
when I start teaching them, they're like, oh, well, at least I already know how to open the hood. And I'm like, no, you should celebrate. I mean, you already know how to open the hood. In case that you have an emergency on the street, at least you already know how to open the hood and know how to do it. So I
Yeah.
love that the celebrating the small wins are a key in any learning process. I love that. So
Mhm.
tell me, now that you are car lover and know that, and you love cars, what is your favorite car right now?
Ooh. Yeah. So I would say still a novice, but favorite car. I'm not sure if I have a favorite car yet. I do enjoy driving manual over automatic. Um, And so I guess right now, personally, my favorite car would be our Honda Pilot right now, just because I can transport everyone. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, definitely. When we are moms, we need big cars. I remember I used to drink with this red Mustang before when I was single. And now
Hmm.
I really want a Honda Odyssey, a minivan, so all
Oh,
my kids fit in there.
yes. Yes. I told my husband the Honda Odyssey should be our next car, but he did not want to do a minivan. I was like, all right.
Yeah, I mean,
But at least the Honda Odyssey and the Pilot have the same engine. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, I love to hear your story. I just want to thank you for being part of this. I mean, this interview. I mean, I think a lot of people already see themselves in your story, and it was so encouraging hearing you how you actually start learning about cars, and you come up from clueless to confident. So I love that. Thank you so much for being
Yeah.
here one more time. And do you want to say something else before we say goodbye?
Um, don't forget that you are not alone, and that you do have a community of women across the nation in the car care group. And use this group, use other resources, but you're not alone in learning this. And I found that people are very, very friendly in the car community, and for the people that aren't, just they don't matter. There are a lot of people that are supportive, a lot of women and a lot of men that are supportive of you learning. So
Yay, yes. Now that you mentioned that, I mean, if you want to be part of our community, Ladies Car Care, you can find us on our website and join us. I mean, like Alyssa, she's part of our community, and we have another 2,500
mhm.
women in there that sometimes we need a safe environment to ask questions.
Yes.
Because, like you
Hmm.
said, I mean, stop hearing the other voices or the other people that just have nothing to say. That when they say something, it's nothing good. Just stop hearing those voices and come and seek for a community where you can actually ask questions and you don't feel like you're not, I mean, you're not anything but actually encouraged to learn
Yes.
more and all that. So yes, please join us like with Elisa and with the rest of the community. So thank you so much again, Elisa, for being part of
Mhm.
this episode. Have everyone a wonderful day and see you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Ladies Car Care Talk Show. For more resources from Cindy or to join the Ladies Car Care Facebook community, you can follow the links in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening and share with your friends.